Hi, I am Bronwyn Radcliffe, and welcome to our webinar on how to stop overeating and balance your hormones. So, here's just a little bit of information about me. I'm quite passionate about balancing hormones, gut health, and really helping people to get a grasp on getting themselves healthy and moving into a state of balance. So I have a master's in nursing, and I'm a family nurse practitioner, and I also have been trained in anti-aging and functional medicine, as well as a functional medicine health and wellness coach, and I'm a certified instructor for mind-body medicine. So overeating is a lot more common than we think, and it's not necessarily that you're obese or fat or anything like that, but we can overeat because we really are just bored. So people who symptoms of overeating, basically eating too much at any given meal, eating after, late in the night, in the middle of the night, in the after hours, essentially, cleaning up your kids' plates, eating when you're not hungry, like I said, eating when you're bored. Reasons we overeat, a lot of it is just emotional. So telling yourself you need more energy, that things aren't right. If I do this, I'll feel better. Also cravings, particularly sweet cravings, sometimes salt cravings, and eating what's left, like I said, on the kid's plate, just so it doesn't go to waste, you tell yourself, and nibbling when you're really not hungry or while you're making meals. So when we overeat, we are out of balance, and we've learned bad habits. I know that people sometimes cooking dinner, you're like, oh, I'll just have a little nibble of this, little nibble of that, and then you'll sit down and you'll eat your whole meal, even though by that time you're not hungry because you've been nibbling for 30 minutes. We also get sick when we're out of balance, and when we're out of balance, often have unresolved emotions, grief, trauma experiences, things that sometimes we don't even recognize are there. And those will be triggers for us to eat, and we won't even be aware of it. Injury, infection is also one of those things that gets us out of balance, lack of sleep, and our standard American diet, not a real healthy food plan for sure. So these are things that I see frequently that are a cause of dis-ease or ill at easeness. So getting off that emotional roller coaster, getting yourselves back into balance. One is, first I decide I want to change. And that's the first step. But it's relatively easy to do, but it is something that requires a commitment. So it's easy to get off the emotional roller coaster. It's easy to correct things because what we have to do is basically adopt our lifestyle practices of meditation, exercise, sleeping, eating well, getting good sunlight during the day, and having good detoxification programs. So pooping, peeing, sweating. It's really hard because it means we have to have a schedule. We have to regulate ourselves, and we have to really start to dive into our emotions and figure out what it is that's causing the drama in the first place. And that can be painful. It can be difficult. So you do have to take responsibility for your actions, your thoughts, and your emotions. And basically, that means we got to get out of emotional childhood and get into adulthood. And that may not be as easy as it sounds. All right, so there are lots of reasons we overeat. The biggest one, and the one people think of most often, is just cravings. Biologically, your body could be looking for deeper nutrition than what it's getting. You can have cravings that'll show up. I had one for broccoli and Brussels sprouts. I don't even like Brussels sprouts. I don't even know how to cook Brussels sprouts. And I had a craving for those. And I was talking to a nurse practitioner friend, and she's like, oh, you just have an excess of beta glucuronidase, and eating those crucifers will make a difference for you. And it did, as well as a supplement to support me. But yeah, it was pretty interesting to realize that I was having a recycling of hormones, and correcting that made the cravings go away. So that is our deep nutrition craving. There are cravings for sweets. There are salt cravings too, particularly people who have adrenal fatigue or adrenal issues. Hypothalamic pituitary axis issues will definitely crave salt. All right, stress is another really big reason we overeat. And like I said, sugar cravings really common in stress, and that's because of an imbalance in cortisol, adrenaline, and insulin. Um, and those are our three primary hormones. So when those are out of balance, we will definitely have cravings. And again, emotions always show up when we're dealing with stress. And I know for myself that oh, I'm the only one that can do this, or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I don't know what to do next. And so, sometimes these are reasons that we will overeat. It's just a distraction. Habits that are reasons we overeat. It may not be hungry, but it's lunchtime, so I'm going to eat lunch. And addictive properties in foods. Manufacturers do create chemicals that they put in the foods to make you want them more. Another reason that we overeat is our brain. And the brain is hardwired to keep you safe, satiated, and on the couch. And it's also designed to reward you for these life-preserving activities. And food is a reward that comes in the form of serotonin and dopamine and or desire. So sweets or food in general will stimulate a dopamine response. The sweeter the food, the higher the response. And so often we will get addicted to those sugar cravings because I want more dopamine. And in order to do that, I have to eat more and more each time. So there are lots of cues around to stimulate those neural pathways and to stimulate you to eat. So your brain is definitely talking to you. All right, another reason we overeat is our standard American diet. We call it, in functional medicine, we call it SAD. And we call it SAD because it is a lot of refined processed foods. We've taken very healthy plants and we've adulterated them and made them into powerhouses of sugar, hydrogenated fats, and things that your body doesn't necessarily recognize, but can crave in time. And then again, like I said, adding in the addictive properties, that the chemicals that many of the manufacturers put in so that you'll continue to eat the food, is another reason that we can crave those foods. The more concentrated the sugar in the product, the more likely you are to want it. It gives you a higher, faster dopamine response, but it also really messes with your insulin. All right, hormones are another reason that we overeat. So, as I said, our three primary hormones are cortisol, insulin, and adrenaline. And when those are well balanced, we're pretty good about being able to manage our cravings, our behaviors, etc. When they're out of balance, we will struggle. And when those three, adrenaline, which is that excessive amount of energy, cortisol, and insulin, are out of balance, the body will send cues for you one way or another. Skipping meals will put those hormones out of balance. And eating excessively will also put those hormones out of balance. And so if you want to keep them balanced, it is really important to keep a very consistent food schedule. 3 meals a day is optimal. And some people do better on 2, but for the most part, 3 meals a day is really optimal. And it's really important to maintain a very particular schedule so your body knows what's coming up and it doesn't have to start searching and craving and going crazy for you. And when those three primary hormones are balanced, life is good. The other hormones will tend to balance themselves. When those three hormones are out of balance, then we will have imbalances in estrogen, our estrogens, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, pregnenolone, cortisol, many other hormones as well, and neurotransmitters. So really, really important. All right, so all of our hormones communicate. The three major ones communicate systemically, and the minor ones also communicate systemically. And everything in your body is connected. So like I said, I can't emphasize enough the importance of balance and the importance of creating a nice, healthy diet and food schedule for yourself so that you are able to maintain that balance as best as you can. There are definitely times when stress will overwhelm, but getting yourself back into balance is going to be key. All right. So let's see. I think we talked about all of this already. If you want to stop overeating, you got to balance your hormones and your stress and your emotions. As I said, meditation, exercise, sleep, detoxification, all those things. Okay. So, cortisol, the stress response. When we think of stress, um, I think of cortisol and I think of adrenaline. And when we are stressed, cortisol is what regulates blood pressure, blood sugar, inflammation, and more. And it regulates those glycogen stores, and it regulates your sugar glyconeogenesis, so new production of sugar. Once mobilized for energy, the stress response mobilizes this for energy. It elevates your cortisol level, it elevates your blood sugar level, and then we start seeing sugar circulating through the system so that we have energy to fight or to run. And that's fine in an immediate reaction. And when it's short term, that's perfect. We tend to live in a world of chronic stress, and we tend to not be able to turn that down or turn it off. And that is where we start getting the problem. Excessive amounts of circulating sugar will make us hungry, and that stimulates cravings, right? Insulin is a rebuilding hormone. We think of it, I've often thought of it as the bus that carries glucose or sugar to the cells and gets the body working. But it is actually a rebuilding hormone, and it helps rebuild enzymes, hormones, neurotransmitters, even your cells, muscles, bones, and fat and glycogen. So we need insulin for long-term survival. And we depend on insulin for well-functioning. We have to have well-functioning insulin to have a well-functioning body and well-functioning cells. If our insulin is resistant, then it's not going to do a very good job for us. So eating enough of the right foods helps us maintain good insulin levels. When we have a stress response, being able to calm ourselves down also helps. Certain foods will stimulate an excessive amount of insulin, like smoothies in particular, and also not eating for long periods of time and then eating also stimulates an excessive amounts of insulin. So, like I said, timing of your food is really key. All right, so leptin is another key hormone in this. It's a secondary hormone, but it is a hormone that lets us know when we're full. So it lets us know that if I'm full, it's time to move and get up and go. And if it's blocked by excess insulin, i.e., I've secreted way too much, I'm going to overeat and I'm not going to listen to those cues. Ghrelin, another secondary hormone, again, lets me know when I'm hungry and when I'm no longer hungry. And it also is very negatively affected by those concentrated foods. So very important to pay attention to that. All right, again, how do I get off this emotional roller coaster? How do I stabilize my blood sugar, my cortisol, my adrenaline? Meditation is key. Sleeping solid 7 to 9 hours a night. Getting most of that front loaded in that 9 to midnight time is key. Eating a balanced, organic, plant-rich diet. Exercise to tolerance on a regular basis. Getting good early morning, midday, and afternoon sunshine. And again, detoxification, key. And again, I said it's hard to do this. It's ideal, but it's not always easy because I need to put myself on a schedule. I need to create good morning schedule to get me up out of bed and moving and going through the day. I need to make sure that I eat at really relatively scheduled times. I also want to have good sleep hygiene. So I want to set myself up to sleep well by knowing that every single night from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, I'm going to be doing these things to get myself ready for bed. Reducing my screen time is very key as well. Okay. Slowing down, paying attention, noticing what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. Is it working for me? Is it not working for me? And, measuring myself. Part of the root word of medicine is to take the measure of, medis, to take the measure of. And so can I take the measure of my life and my habits and my lifestyles? And can I see what's working for me, what's not working, and then change it to adapt and make me to a healthier place? Okay, so for meditation, there's a ton of apps out there. You're probably more familiar with them than I am. Yin yoga is a great option. Yoga nidra is a great option. Sitting and breathing, journaling, shaking and dancing, imagery. There are tons and tons of things to do for meditation. And even putting yourself through a good, healthy yoga routine and then sitting down with a little breathing or some journaling is really helpful. Again, sleep, eat, take a bath, read a bedtime story, say your prayers, go to bed, whatever it is that's your sleep hygiene. Just recognizing that in the evening, I need to keep things a little quieter, the lights a little lower, and set myself up for success. Exercising daily, really important. You don't have to be extreme. We're talking about getting yourself to a place where zone 2 would be where you can talk and communicate with someone while you're working out. And that would be a good fat burning zone. There are other zones, 3, 4, and 5, and I might be 6. But those are looking at zones where I'm going to be breathless. I'm going to not be able to talk while I exercise. Those are important, not for long periods of time, but they are important to really get that heart rate up there, really stimulate some release of glycogen and to get the body moving. So working out with a trainer, getting someone to help you move through to a place where you understand exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it would be key. Weightlifting, very important to help you develop just long-term strength, which is key in being healthy overall. Exercise choice, whatever works for you, whether it's walking, hiking, biking, swimming, dancing, yoga, Pilates, jump rope, skip, rebound. It doesn't really matter. Find something that works for you and do it regularly. And if you're like me and you like 8 different sports, then I do them seasonally and I rotate them throughout the week. So find things that really work for you and make it happen. Food, this is always a challenge. I tell people real food, not boxed, bagged, or processed, but real food. And real food doesn't usually have a label. And if it does, should have 5 ingredients or less. We hope you recognize the names of all those ingredients. And I want you to eat organic whenever you can afford it. The Environmental Working Group has a great website for the key foods that should be organic, and then those that you can slide by on. You want them to be plants, seeds, nuts, legumes, grains, vegetables, fruits. All of those are considered real foods. So if it grows on a tree, a bush, underground, on a vine, whatever, if it's growing, it's real food. Okay. So I want you to eat that. And then animal protein is key. A lot of us need animal protein, and that's fine. Just get it as organic as possible. Try to get it grass finished if you can, and as healthy as you possibly can. Sunlight is really, really important. And getting early morning light, that blue light, getting midday light, that bright, bright yellow light, and then getting early evening light before the sun sets or as the sun is setting to turn on those red and orange lights to really help your body clock adjust itself. Supports appetite, sleep, and energy. Helps regulate hormones. All right, detoxification is key. You got to poop every day. Yes, every single day. I don't care what anyone else has ever told you. You need to poop every day. If you're not, and you need to start looking into ways that you can make that happen. We also detoxify by breathing. We detoxify by sweating and by peeing. All of those very, very key. So another thing that's huge, and I really want everyone to understand, is to be emotional. And it's okay, it's normal, and it makes you real, like Velveteen Bunny real. So get in touch with your emotions, allow them, embrace them, the good, the bad, the ugly. Can't have one without the other. Life is 50-50. Ultimately, you would like to be in your center, in your core. You would like to be content, satisfied. There will be days when you will be off the chart one way or the other, but in that moment, you should still have satisfaction within. I want you to grieve. I want you to have joy. I want you to be upset when horrible things happen. I want you to feel that even if it didn't happen to you. So emotions are key, and learning how to feel them and then express them appropriately is really, really important. It's something I teach in my mind body medicine class as well as in some of my coaching classes. Life coaching is one of those places that I do that. And it's particularly this class, an extension of this webinar about overeating, is about coaching. It's about coaching about your relationship with food and how to moderate that, and then what that is, what your emotions are around food. It's a deep dive into really understanding why you do what you do. All right.
So we're going to talk about the model. The model is a really good way to get in touch with your emotions. And it has 5 components. Circumstances are the situation. And the situation is something that everyone around us can see, and it's real, factual. So I eat at 9 o'clock at night would be a factual situation. Thoughts are your thoughts about that circumstance, your emotions about the thought, or the emotions generated by the thought. The actions are going to be the behaviors that we take from that thought, and the results are going to be exactly what happens when we take those actions. So I need a volunteer who would like to present with a circumstance. I think you can raise your hand. Yeah, you can hit the little hand icon on the bottom of the screen if you'd like to be my volunteer. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So, Catherine, there you go. Or Stephanie, who wants to go?
Stephanie, you can go if you'd like. Okay. Oops.
Stephanie, you might want to step into a room. All right, Stephanie, what would be a circumstance that you'd like to get some help with?
So my circumstance is that I love wine, and I love to eat potato chips with my wine every night, and then it causes me not to sleep well, I think. So it's my circumstance.
Okay. So your circumstance would be I eat potato chips and wine together. So tell me either your thought about that or the emotion that is generated from that.
Sorry, say that again. I'm having a hard time. There we go.
You're having a hard time hearing this? Okay. So if your circumstance is that you're eating potato chips and drinking wine at night, what are your thoughts about that? What does that stimulate in you? What if you think about that, you've never, if you know, you're talking about it right now, what's your thought about it?
My thought is that that's my relaxation. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Okay. So this is how I relax.
Yes.
All right. And then when you think about relaxing, this is, you know, I relax with wine and potato chips. What emotion is generated from that?
Mm, I feel like it's kind of like just deadens my emotions, I guess, so that I don't have to maybe deal with them.
Okay. So maybe blunted.
What was that?
Blunted.
Yeah.
Okay. In this circumstance, if I'm blunted by relaxing with wine and potato chips, what actions do I take? Or more importantly, what actions do I not take?
Mm, I guess I'm not really taking much of any actions because it's maybe masking what I should be doing. And, you know, maybe I could do yoga or something or drink tea, but it's
Yeah,
just
I'm
a
not asking.
habit.
I just want to know what is not happening, or when you're blunted, what are you doing? What are you not doing? So things like I'm not taking action, or maybe I am sitting on the couch. Maybe I am, um, stewing. Maybe I am ignoring my emotions or relationships around me. Like what's happening when I've blunted my emotions?
That's a difficult question. I guess I would be just, I don't know, it's just my way of relaxing, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a habit and I'm blocking probably just trying to deal with the day-to-day lives of coming home, feeding the dogs, cooking and cleaning, putting away the dishes and starting a load of laundry. And if I drink my wine, it makes things easier.
Okay. Um, what would be the result of drinking wine, eating potato chips, blunting my emotions? If I'm not taking any action to engage or to participate. I mean, I get the cleaning, and I mean, I get the dogs and the laundry, but if I'm not, what are the results of this action, of this not being active, of blunting my emotions? What shows up?
Um, I think for me, like ends up being one too many sometimes. Like I say, I try to keep it to two, but I usually go to three and then I feel like it affects my sleeping. So is that like what you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean that's a result of what this habit is doing, or what you're drinking wine at night. Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay.
So if I'm drinking, 2 or 3 glasses of wine, and my sleep is then poor, how does that affect the rest of your life?
Um, then I show up to work tired and not alert and a little grumpy, and it just affects everything throughout my day and maybe not being as motivated to like be active and after work and go to the gym and do things that I like to do because it's a continued pattern of being tired.
Right. Okay. So when we're looking at this as thank you for volunteering, and we're not done yet. So, but when we look at this as in, whether it's food or drink, um, what we're seeing is that the circumstances is one piece that we're able to just all agree on. She drinks wine and eats potato chips. The rest of it is about her thought about it, is that she's decided that's how she relaxes. Um, but what she's doing is blunting her emotions. And the result is that it interferes with her sleep. It interferes with her engagement in life and her ability to make proactive decisions to get her out of the hole that she's in. And so that's what this coaching model is about. And we could turn it around and we can do multiple different things with it. We could decide what result is that we want. And that result might be, Stephanie, what is a result that you would want? Like if you're, you've identified that you're not going to the gym and you're decreased motivation and poor sleep and tired the next day, is that the result you want, or is there a different result that you'd like to achieve?
Sorry, I just had to unmute. So I would really like to see myself, just quit wine altogether. And I know I can do it. I have done it in the past. And I did feel better and sleep better. It's just kind of like making the action happen and trusting that I can do it. But yeah, that's what I would like to
Okay,
accomplish.
so if the result that I want is to quit wine, what is a thought that I would have to have?
Just believing in myself. Is that what you mean?
Well, if my result is I did quit the wine, what emotion do I need in order to quit drinking that wine?
Oh, I get it. Just kind of knowing, just dealing with, just dealing with things and finding and knowing there's other ways to relax, I guess. It's a hard question.
Maybe the thought is that there are other ways to relax.
Yes.
And when I have that thought, there are other ways to relax, then what emotion is generated from that?
I mean, it does kind of bring up anxiety, I guess, a little bit, I think, but motivation, I guess, too, I don't know.
Yeah, and that if I were to have that thought, hey, wait, there's other ways to relax, I might be curious. I might be curious to ask questions. Oh, what are they? Let's find that.
Yeah.
And then the action becomes looking for those other ways to relax. So we use this model when I coach. I use this model, and I use it in helping people with overeating, with overdrinking, overexercising, over anything, because it helps them to see their mind and how their brain and their mind is working, and what we're telling ourselves. And the model is very effective in helping us understand, like, hey, this is what I've been thinking. If I want to change that, want to have a different result, I'm going to need to change my thought. And the beauty of the model is that you can start anywhere. You can know what the action is, and then you can figure out from that action what emotion was being generated, what emotion I was feeling when I took that action. And you can also, like we just did, was here's the result I'd like to have. Now, what do I have to think? What do I have to feel in order to generate those results? And the circumstance will stay the same. It's about the wine, or about your overeating, or whatever it is that we're discussing. So I hope that was a little helpful and a little bit of an insight for you.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So, here's my next slide. Okay. Okay. So I would tell you that it's a beautiful model, and it's hard to learn it that fast. But if you could take a little bit of if you could take that model and you could take what you learned today and you put it into action, um, I think you could get some results from that. You could start using that and recognizing that really I do have some control over my food, my thoughts, my emotions, um, and that you could get some good results working on your overeating. I feel certain that just with the little bit of information we've covered today, that could make every possible and get some movement forward. And if it were your only option, it would be definitely a worthy idea to pursue. But if there were another option, if there were an option that allowed me to help you work through all of this together, chance to go deeper than we could on this little webinar, connecting together more than just this one time. If I played an active role and I took some responsibility in your success, had an obligation to your outcome, would that make things different for you? Do you think that in that situation that I could really empower you, or you could be empowered with resources at your disposal to help you be successful? Resources being learning that model quickly, deeply, and really knowing how to use it. And then also practicing the meditation, different meditation techniques, and getting a whole lot deeper dive information into how your brain and your mind works when it comes to, and hormones when it comes to eating food. And I think, maybe you think that might help you be more successful.
Okay, so thank you, Stephanie, for being our volunteer. Now, again, how to stop overeating will help you set a path of wellness by teaching you awareness of your eating habits, how to notice your emotions and your thoughts associated with your eating habits and associated with your relationship to food. Will help you manage your over desire so that you don't overeat, and will help you understand how to eat that works for you. Okay. It's not a diet program. I'm not going to teach you a diet. It's not a weight loss program, but it's education about food, about your relationship with food, to food, around food. And it's also techniques to help you manage the emotions that you have that would help you with stop with overeating, with over drinking, with over exercising, whatever it is that you overdo. I do this by, like I said, teaching you basic techniques for meditation, as well as teaching you the model in detail and a few other tools to help you really wrap your mind around this and bypass this brain thing that's going on that's slowing you down and keeping you stuck. Okay. So this webinar is giving you just a little bit of information about overeating, why we overeat, how our hormones are involved. The program that I teach is an 8-week program or an 8-day program. I usually do an hour a day for 4 days and then 4 days the second week. And again, I could teach all of this for you in detail. You could take a lot of what we've learned today and you could practice it. You could watch this webinar over and over, and you could really start to practice what this model is and start working it for yourself around your relationship to food. And if that works for you, I think that's great. I would love that to happen. If you'd like to get a deeper dive and a lot more support and help, then I would love to be able to work with you in this overeating program. It is an online program. Like I said, it's an hour a day for 4 days, take a break for a few days, and then 4 more days. And the cost of that is $300 a person. You'll get a really nice workbook. You'll get a lot of information about overeating, about hormones, how to balance those, and you'll also learn some nice basic techniques in meditation to help support you in this process. Okay. You'll learn the science behind overeating, and like I said, various patterns that you have, some protocols to kind of work through and help you create new patterns of more appropriate and better behavior around that. Okay? Managing thoughts, emotions. We'll really practice that model. Okay. So I want to tell you, we'll give you a workbook, hunger worksheet, food journaling process. The urge jar is super fun, and emotional trigger worksheet as well. So all these are included in the program. Like I said, $300. It runs over a 2-week period, 4 days, 1 hour, 4 days, 1 week, 1 hour a day, 4 days the next week. So it's a total of 8 hours. If you'd like to join us, please email me at info@coloradolifestylemed.com. I'm really starting this program in January, and I have it set up multiple times throughout the year, and it is online. You can also get on our website, coloradolifestylemed.com, and get some information there under programs. Other programs I do offer, I will be offering very soon a How to Feel Better course, and none of this is covered with insurance. I do take primary care patients and hormone and GI patients, and I do that's my medicine practice. These coaching programs are not covered by insurance. So the How to Feel Better class will be coming up, a new, very updated version and a very deep dive. The Stop Over Drinking class will be coming up next spring. And then I do have a 3-day mind body program, which is a really deep dive into stress management, learning lots of skills and techniques for meditation and how to really tap into your emotions. Okay. Any questions you have, please get on the website, look there, call the office. We'd be happy to discuss it with you. Thanks again for joining me. I hope you have an amazing, fabulous day.